This is Fashion Fridays. Every Friday, we present you with a fashion icon or topic. Today, we're looking at 15 things you didn't know about Christian Lacroix. Welcome to Alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get informed. Hello Aluxers, and welcome to another exciting original video presented by Alux.com. Today we're revealing some interesting, lesser-known facts about influential French fashion designer Christian Lacroix. Christian Lacroix was born May 16, 1951 in Arles, France. He developed an interest in design at an early age, and reportedly when his grandfather asked him at the age of 4 what he wanted to be when he grew up, he answered, Christian Dior. As a teenager, Christian would always be sketching out his design ideas, and once he graduated high school, he moved to Montpellier, France, to study in art history and costume design at the University of Montpellier. After getting his start in the fashion industry, he established his own haute couture house in 1975. He began his own fashion line in 1987, and it didn't take long for him to attract attention with his colorful, elaborate, unique, and experimental designs that were very distinctive from any other designer. He quickly made a name for himself and attracted some A-list fans, including Helen Mirren, Madonna, Uma Thurman, and Sarah Jessica Parker. Unfortunately, his high-end brand of fashion constantly struggled with profitability and was unable to manage the global financial crisis. Christian filed for bankruptcy and left the company soon after, although the label still exists to this day. If you're new here, welcome! Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Alux. We want to learn some more about Christian because we're inspired by his creativity, passion, vision, and distinctive style. So, it's time now to take a closer look at this influential designer with the 15 things you didn't know about Christian Lacroix. Number 1. He started his career as a fashion assistant at Hermes. While Christian was finishing his studies at the university, he met famous French fashion consultant Jean-Jacques Picard. Picard was instrumental in launching several French designers' careers, and Lacroix was one of the most notable among them. He set Christian up with his first job in the fashion industry, working as an illustrator for Hermes, with a focus on color schemes and design execution. Number 2. His wife is his muse. We mentioned that fashion consultant Jean-Jacques Picard helped to launch Christian's career, but if it wasn't for his wife, the two may never have crossed paths. Christian met Françoise Rosenthal at a party in 1973, and they started a relationship soon after. At the same time, she was working in Jean-Jacques Picard's office, and it was she who made the introduction. Christian also said that she served as his muse throughout his career. After nearly 20 years of being together, the couple got married in 1991. Number 3. He had planned on becoming a museum curator. Although Christian always showed an affinity for fashion and costume design, that passion did not drive him directly into the fashion industry, but toward museums. After he graduated from the University of Montpellier, he moved to Paris to become a museum curator. As a child, he often went to small historical museums that featured historical costumes, and he hoped he could work in a similar museum. However, he was unable to find a job in this field, and he soon turned to the world of fashion. Number 4. Dior's parent company invested about $66 million for him to start his own line. Financière Agache is a holding company that primarily focuses on businesses within the luxury goods sector. It is the primary owner of both Christian Dior and LVMH, which encompasses Louis Vuitton, Fendi, Givenchy, Marc Jacobs, and many more luxury brands. Financière Agache so believed in the vision of Christian Lacroix that in 1986 they backed him with around $66 million, which is over $150 million at today's valuation. He used this money to start his own fashion label and was met with immediate acclaim for his distinctive and extravagant designs. Number 5. His net worth is $1.6 million. Although Christian Lacroix has been a respected name in the fashion industry for decades, he never became especially rich from his designs or his brand name. He certainly made enough to live comfortably, and his net worth would be much higher if he hadn't used his own money to finance his haute couture collections when his company could no longer afford to do so. Today, Christian has a net worth of $1.6 million, which is on the low end of the high-profile fashion designers, but money never was his primary motivation. Number 6. His fashion business never turned a profit. Lacroix is known for using elaborate materials, expensive fabrics, and experimental designs in his haute couture creations, which resulted in some very creative and artistic fashion, but not so much in the way of profits. The pool of consumers who were attracted to his designs and could also afford them has always been quite shallow. Even with the revenues from his many other lines, including ready-to-wear, accessories, and fragrances, he never managed to turn a profit during the entire time he ran his own fashion brand, from 1987 to 2008. In fact, he had cumulative losses of over $50 million from 1987 until 2005, and an additional $11 million lost in 2008 before he filed for bankruptcy. Number 8. His company went from over 100 employees to just 12. In 2005, the struggling Christian Lacroix fashion house was purchased by the Phallic Fashion Group from LVMH. Just 4 years later, the fashion group filed for insolvency and the company went into administration, meaning that it was managed by a court-appointed administrator. The haute couture line was halted, and the divisions of the company were pared down to just a few, including accessories and perfume. Also, of approximately 120 employees that were working there at the time, all but 12 were laid off, and the future of the company seemed very bleak. Number 8. Almost everyone involved in his last fashion show worked for free. Christian's final fashion show was held in July of 2009, just 2 months after he filed for bankruptcy for his business. The show almost didn't happen because there was no funding, but the fashion community generally has such high respect for Lacroix that they came together and donated their time, services, and products to make it happen. Christian funded much of the clothing creations himself. Almost everyone involved in the show worked for free except for the models, who were paid about $60 each. A high-end shoe brand donated all of the high heels used in the show. A well-known embroiderer donated all of their time to help construct the fashion pieces. And the makeup artists and hairdressers donated their time and materials as well. He received a standing ovation, and many in the crowd were in tears after the show. Number 9. He has designed the interior of several high-end hotels. Christian has also lent his talents to interior design, and his work can be seen in some of the finest hotels in France. In 2005, he completed his first hotel interior for the luxurious Hôtel Le Petit Moulin in Paris. In 2007, he completed the work for the Hôtel Belchèze, a small boutique hotel in Paris. And in 2011, he designed the interior for the Le Notre Dame Hotel, also in Paris, right next to the Notre Dame Cathedral. Number 10. He created Catherine Zeta Jones's $140,000 wedding dress. The average American bride spends $1,500 on her wedding gown, but Catherine Zeta Jones isn't average or technically American, and Christian Lacroix was her designer of choice for her extravagant wedding dress when she married Michael Douglas in 2000. Their wedding cost about $2 million, and $140,000 of that was spent on Catherine's one-of-a-kind wedding dress. Christian also designed Christina Aguilera's $30,000 dress for her 2005 wedding. Number 11. He left his fashion house altogether in 2010. After his haute couture line and most of the other creative divisions of his fashion house were eliminated in the restructuring of the company, Christian felt that he had no choice but to leave to try and start something new in his career. It was a difficult decision, and he stuck around for about a year after the bankruptcy, hoping that some funding would come through, but it never did. He officially broke ties with the company in 2010, although the fashion label continues to bear his name. Number 12. He now primarily designs costumes for theatrical productions. Since he's left the fashion house, Christian has embraced his childhood love of the theater by designing hundreds of costumes for a variety of theatrical productions, ballets, and operas. He told Vogue recently that as a child, he wasn't interested in fashion, but in theater and costumes, so he is truly happy with his new focus in his career. His most recent production was the 2017 ballet of A Midsummer Night's Dream at the Opera Bastille in Paris. His 210 costumes and 90 headpieces featured a total of 1 million Swarovski crystals, which took 10,000 man-hours alone to incorporate into the pieces. Number 13. He launched a children's line in 2001. As his ready-to-wear collections dipped in popularity in the late 1990s, Christian tried desperately to find avenues to keep his fashion house afloat. He ventured into various different sectors, producing a casual clothing collection in 1994, bedding and home product lines in 1995, and a collection of blue jeans in 1996. None of these lines were particularly successful. In 2001, he again tried something new and dived into the world of children's fashion. After a few years, that effort was abandoned as well. In 2015, the Christian Lacroix label announced that they would again be getting back into high-end children's fashion after a 10-year hiatus. The line was launched in the spring 2016 collection and included clothing and accessories for boys and girls aged 3 months to 3 years. Number 14. He designed more than 100 pieces for Air France's uniforms. It's actually quite easy to identify the most stylish airline employees in the world. The answer is Air France, hands down. France has no shortage of fashion designers to offer, and Air France has hired a number of them to design their uniforms over the years. In 2004, Lacroix was hired to design the newest version of the uniforms, and he went above and beyond by creating over 100 pieces, including dresses, gloves, coats, hats, and shoes. Other designers that have created Air France uniforms include Christian Dior and Balenciaga. Number 15. His very first fashion show was the start of a fashion revolution. Lacroix experienced success with his very first haute couture fashion show in 1987. The fashion world had been dominated with minimalist, conservative designs for nearly a decade prior, so his vibrant colors, playful designs, theatricality, and mixed patterns were a breath of fresh air in the fashion industry. Many experts refer to his first fashion line as the start of a fashion revolution, when designers turned from more muted designs to embrace the more frivolous, fun, and colorful side of fashion. And there you have it, Aluxers, some interesting lesser-known facts about Christian Lacroix. Now that you've learned some more about Christian, we'd like to know, do you think he'll ever go back to the fashion label that bears his name? Let us know what you think in the comments. Still here? Of course you are. Here's a bonus fact just for you. Number 16. Uma Thurman wore one of his dresses so she could be worst dressed at the Oscars. When Uma Thurman wore one of Christian's dresses at the 2004 Oscars, it wasn't one of her best moments or the designer's. She landed on every single worst dressed list for the frumpy dress that one critic called Swiss Miss in a nightgown. Thurman insists she did it on purpose, saying she chose the dress after seeing it on the runway. She said she was bored with everyone trying to look so perfect on the red carpet, and everyone looking the same, so she purposefully was aiming to be the worst dressed in order to stand out from everyone else. Whatever her motivation, it worked. Thank you for spending some time with us, Aluxers. Make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss another video. We also handpicked these videos, which we recommend you watch next. Thank you for being an Aluxer, and we'll see you back tomorrow.